Good morning and welcome to A Day in My Life. I wake up naturally between 5:30 and 6:30 in the morning, though I've always got a 6:30 alarm just in case because I want to maintain the routine. Once I get up, I wash my face, and then I have an hour and a half to 2 hours before I either need to leave for work or before I relocate to the dining table to work from home. In the morning, if I'm being good, I might do some stretching or a meditation, or I might even do a little bit of writing work. However, at the moment, I've been feeling really worn out lately, so I'm just reading a book. Because today I'm working from home, I need to set up the dining table as my home office, which involves putting my laptop on top of some boxes and books and then setting up the external keyboard and mouse, which is actually more ergonomic than the office setup, which is why I try to work from home every other day. Hello, officially. It is now 8:30 a.m, so clearly I've gotten dressed, I've had some breakfast, and I'm just catching up on messages at work that have come through overnight before I start my day. So when it comes to my working schedule, generally I work from the office on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I work from home on Tuesday and Thursday. And the big reason for that is because at the office we only have laptops. My neck isn't really doing too well with that, so I can set up my fake ergonomic desktop at home more easily, and it just keeps things going a bit better if I do alternate days. The other thing is that Tuesdays tend to be a very heavy meeting day, and it's a little bit easier to just be at home and do all the meetings here rather than having to duck in and out of the shared office every hour or every 30 minutes. So on the agenda today, first I'm actually having a call with Kris, my beta reader, who's also my science expert for Powerless, which I'm very excited about and very nervous about. In the little email she sent me to let me know she was done, she said I'd messed with her sleep cycle, which I'm very proud of, and also that there were certain areas where she felt like, I just want to get back to the main plot. And I'm pretty sure I know what some of those areas are because I feel the same way about them. So it's going to be interesting to talk this through and see if we're on the same page. Look, honestly, you're the first person I've spoken to, so I have no method. So maybe just tell me your thoughts and we can discuss as we go.
So here, okay, so there's some good tension with what happened to the supers at the bank. I'm enjoying this. This was really awesome because this is where it hits me like this isn't an ordinary superheroes book. It's more that Umbrella Academy, like it's like getting bullshit, but the world itself like isn't. And it's getting you to think like what effect is violence having on these characters. And
Yes, that should be Man on Fire. See, this is what I'm talking about with the typos.
there weren't that many, I think there's about. So this is where I put it down, mainly because it was 2:00 at night and I had to, but I wanted to keep reading. So the next night I pick it up and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna, that's what ideally you want to have, like the urge to pick the book back up. But this is the bit I didn't like that much because the kicking out was really good, but it's the going to the morgue to get the stuff. Okay, so I think this
is one of the bits I was really struggling with because this wasn't there in the original one, and like in the original draft, and it was something I added in the revisions, but it was something I struggled with for the whole revision to get it right, and I still wasn't happy with it. And so I thought, like when you mentioned that in the email, I'm like, okay, this might be one of the bits, and there's a bit later which is the exact same scenario, like I tried to redo it in the revisions and still wasn't quite happy with it. So I'm curious to see if that, like, you had the same impression there as well.
So the actual scene was exciting in itself, but what it's like is you see a really cool action movie, and you got the twists and things, but they're good in context. But then you watch a clip on YouTube of something happening to a character, and you just don't care because it's out of context. So this is what it kind of felt like. I wasn't feeling. So I feel like it's not a huge big deal they didn't have super DNA. I wasn't feeling this thing for Hannah going, oh my God, she has to do this. Because I already felt that when she watched Maria. So I feel like what this scene is doing for me, it was already done when they watched the supers fight.
My call with Kris went really well. In general, she liked the book. There were sections she couldn't put down, so really happy with that. And There are things she mentioned which I totally agree with, like the whole going to the morgue scene I added in. She wasn't really feeling it, and we were discussing why, and part of it is like the reveal that came out of that scene had already been revealed, and it also wasn't an exciting reveal, it was more of a letdown reveal, which was the point, but what's the point in having the same reveal twice? So after all of that work, I might cut it out again. She also mentioned a couple of plot holes that I hadn't considered. Like one of them is the Brotherhood has like a drug and alcohol that can sort of mimic superhuman powers, and she's like, well, if that's the case, then what's the big threat of these weapons that the antagonist has created if the Brotherhood already has a method of doing this? So that's something I need to think about. And also some character motivation things, like there are things that happen because that was what was on my beat sheet when I was planning it out, but it isn't clear why the characters are doing it beyond this is what needs to happen for the plot. And then there's also a tension issue where we know, or at least she knew, so I'm assuming other readers will know, that the climactic epic final battle scene will happen at a certain location. And once we realize that, it sort of feels like everything before that is a bit of filler content, like why are we doing all of this when we're going to end up there anyway? So I need to figure out how to manage that, because the situation I'm in at the moment is I have a couple of scenes in this location, and I ended up putting, originally we just had the final scene, and I decided to put in an earlier scene just so we could get the lay of the land a little bit rather than having to try and squeeze all of that into a battle. So I think there's merit in having the earlier scene there, but it also does create this conundrum where it's like, well, nothing between here and the battle actually matters because we're going to end up there anyway. So I need to think about how to address that. The most interesting part was that beyond that initial morgue scene, which I'd been struggling with the whole time, the things she picked up on were not the things I'd picked up on, and I agree they're problems, but they're not the problems I was thinking are the worst ones. So I don't know if that means like the things I thought were problems aren't that bad, or if it's just those ones took precedent. So it's going to be interesting to see what my other beta readers come back with at the end of the month. Including my call with Kris, today I have 7 meetings. So what's on the agenda before lunch is, first, I'm meeting with one of my colleagues who'll be away next week, who's taking me through the website CMS software, just in case I need to make any updates while he's gone. After that, we have an acquisition strategy meeting with marketing and data to talk about how we can tell more people about what we do. Then there's a monthly marketing and support catch-up, which is between marketing and the head of the support team, just to see if there's anything we can help each other with, any projects we've got coming up in the next month where we can support each other. And then there's our daily marketing stand-up. This is usually just a 15-minute chat where we go through what's coming up for the day and where we make sure that everyone's on track. And if there are any issues with conflicting deadlines or prioritization, we figure out what needs to be done as the top priority and what can wait if it needs to. So if we include Kris, that's 5 meetings down and 2 to go. And I am feeling a bit mentally drained, so I'm now heading to the gym for my lunchtime workout. I'm hoping that when I get back I'll feel a little bit more revived, because I did attempt to squeeze in like some copywriting tasks, so I need to redo a press release and give some feedback on some emails that the copywriter in my team did. And I was looking at it for a few minutes before I came out and just wasn't getting anywhere. It's like my book, actually, because I can see what the problem is, but I wasn't sure how to fix it. So time for a mental break at the gym, and fingers crossed I can be more productive this afternoon before the next meeting. After lunch, I had about an hour where I tried to get some work done, and now it's time for our weekly powwow. So the powwow is a company-wide meeting that's run by the CEO, but where various people from across the company talk about what's happening in their area and give updates on news in the industry, as well as what's coming up next for our company, how the market's performing, and so on. When new people start, they also need to introduce themselves at the powwow, and at the end of their first 2 weeks, they need to do a 1-minute presentation on something relating to the company or the industry. So this is a really good way to keep everyone connected and to help us feel like we're part of a larger organization, which I think is really important when over half of the company now, I think, works remotely. So it's very easy to get isolated if you don't have regular things like this. And one of the best things about it is that I don't need to have my video on because there are so many people in the meeting. So one of the reasons I work from home on Tuesdays is because I can stretch and be comfortable while this meeting's happening rather than being chained to a desk. After the powwow, my last meeting for the day is actually a virtual coffee. So my company has an app in Slack which randomly sets us up with people for a virtual coffee each week, which is a good opportunity to get to know people you wouldn't work with day to day. When someone's new, HR also matches them with 3 people who aren't in their team so they can get to know them. And clearly, now that I've been at the company for 2 months, I'm considered knowledgeable enough to speak to these people because this is my last meeting of the day. I'm actually doing a virtual coffee with someone who started last week. And now all of my meetings are done, so I've got to try and get some writing done in the last hour of the day. It is now 5 to 6. 6 is usually when I finish my day, though when things happen, sometimes you can work later. Like yesterday, I didn't leave the office until almost 7. Today, I feel like I've ticked off everything that was on my list, given that the list is usually shorter because big meeting day. But there are a couple of projects that I know I'm going to have to get into tomorrow, so I'm just going to look at the tasks and the background information and try to organize my thoughts. And that way, when I start tomorrow, rather than having to start from scratch, I already have a starting point and hopefully my brain will continue working in the background. After that, I think I might have a shower just to help switch off from the day and so I don't smell, because not smelling is important. And then I'll attempt to work on my premise using the anatomy of story. I am clean, and as you can see, post-bath Jackie is the epitome of high fashion. I'm going to order some dinner because my husband's the one who does the groceries in our family, and he only tends to buy 1 or 2 days of food at a time, and then I get to the end of the day and realize there's no food. And admittedly, I could go out and get some food myself because the shopping centre's basically across the road, but it's been a long day, so I'm ordering a vegan sandwich. While I wait for that to arrive, I'm working on the premise exercises in the anatomy of story because it is coming up to mid-September and Nanowrimo is not that far away, so I need to start working on my next book ideas. And my food has arrived. I am not going to put it on camera because it's literally a sandwich. It is now coming up to 8 p.m. My dinner has arrived, and so I'm going to call it a day. I was hoping I might have some premises to reveal to you by the end of this video, but all of the steps involved in the anatomy of story process are a little bit involved. So I think I'm up to step 3 out of 8 or 9, and I'm struggling a little bit. I think this is something I will do over a few days and think about, but one of the things is thinking about all of the possibilities of the story, so what could happen, and because I have a couple of different ideas, so quick overview is that one of them is a book I've already drafted, but I think I need to start again. One of them is a book I've already outlined, but I want to see how I go with a little bit of knowledge, and then the other one's a completely new idea. So I'm actually trying different outlining methods for ideas that have different levels of thought and world building and knowledge behind them. So when I think about the possibilities, I'm really struggling with the book that I've already written because I feel like, there aren't any more possibilities. I've already thought of them all. Whereas the new books, especially the one that's an idea and I haven't really thought about it, there I'm thinking of a lot more because obviously it's the first time I've thought about this. So I'm not sure how useful this exercise is for ideas you already have or have already worked on, but we'll see how I go. The other thing I looked at was the problems inherent in these ideas. And for the existing book, most of it is, does all of this fit in the same story? Do I have too many point of view characters? Do they need to be in the same book? Or maybe I have a series of books in this world that focus on different characters because other than sort of ending up in the final battle scene together, they don't really interact that much, or they don't need to interact that much. So it'll be interesting to see how this develops, but if you want more information, my anatomy of story video or videos will probably be up in the next few weeks. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and then you'll know as soon as they come out. Other than that, I hoped you enjoyed my day in the life working from home edition. I'm also planning to do a working from the office edition. So yeah, you can get a better sense of my life, because maybe you care. Other than that, I hope you're having a great day, whenever it is, wherever you are, and I will see you next time. Bye.